What's up everybody, Captain Foggy here from Mind Sculpting MTG, and it's time to shuffle and cut with a fresh build. This is Grixis Control and Ixalan Standard. Before we get started, take a moment to smash that like button. Also, subscribe so you don't miss any future decks or videos. Ixalan is here, and with it came some brand new toys for all of my favorite decks. Blue-based control decks got a huge upgrade when it comes to card advantage with Search For Azcanta. With that being said, we're playing 3 copies in the main deck. Search For Azcanta is such a powerhouse when it comes to card advantage. During your upkeep, you get to fix your draws by either keeping the card on top of your deck or putting it into your graveyard, and when you have 7 cards in your graveyard, you get to flip it into a land. With that land, you can tap it and pay 3 mana so you can look at the top 4 cards of your library and put a non-creature card into your hand. This card is so amazing on so many levels, I love it to death. But that's not the only thing we're playing in the deck for card advantage. We're also playing 4 copies of Glimmer of Genius and 2 Hieroglyphic Illumination. Glimmer of Genius just seems like a staple nowadays with any kind of blue-based control deck. At instant speed, you get to scry 2 and then draw 2 cards, plus it also produces energy so you can keep using your Aether Hubs and also to help fuel your Harness Lightnings. Hieroglyphic Illumination, on the other hand, draws you 2 cards at instant speed, but you can also cycle it away in the early game so you can just keep drawing cards as well. My favorite thing about Hieroglyphic Illuminations is to cycle it in the early game and then bring it back with a Torrential Gearhulk in the late game. That's how we get to our answers, but what do we have for our removal suite? We're playing 4 Magma Spray, 4 Harness Lightning, and 2 Vraska's Contempt. Magma Spray is great for the early game, also it helps us combat any kind of Romunap red build. It also helps keep recurring threats at bay by exiling them when they die. Harness Lightning is just an all-around awesome spot removal spell. At worst, it can always kill something with 3 toughness. At its best, it can take out larger threats depending on how much energy you have to spare. Vraska's Contempt is one of my new favorite spells from Ixalan. It can exile a target creature or planeswalker, and you also get to gain 2 life in the process. With that being said, it's our answer to Scarab God and also Hazard the Fervent. If the board state becomes too overwhelming, we have a copy of Hour of Devastation in the main board. At 5 mana, it'll take care of all non-Bolas planeswalkers and take care of some of the most difficult threats to remove like the Scarab God and Hazard the Fervent. So that's our removal suite, but what do we have for counter magic? We're playing 3 Censor, 2 Essence Scatter, and 4 Disallow. Censor is just a great all-around early game counter spell, plus also in the late game we can cycle it away so we can draw cards. Essence Scatter is there to take care of any creature that might come into play that we don't have an answer for just yet. And Disallow is just the greatest counter spell in the standard format today. Not only can it counter any target spell, but it can also take care of any activated or triggered ability like Planeswalker Ultimates. So now we've made it to the late game, how do we win? We're playing 1 copy of Scarab God, 3 Torrential Gearhulk, and 1 copy of Nicol Bolas God Pharoah. The Scarab God is just an amazing creature all in itself. Not only does it help with card advantage, but also helps us take our opponent's threats and use them against them. Plus, it's a great recurring threat, so unless our opponent can exile him, we're always going to have him at our disposal. To me, Torrential Gearhulk is an auto-include in any blue-based control deck as it can help recur any instant from your graveyard, plus it's a great finisher. To top things off, you can't have any Grixis control deck without the Grixis man himself, Nicol Bolas God Pharoah. Nicol Bolas is just great for all-around utility. He can exile cards from the top of your opponent's library and use it against your opponent, exile 2 cards from your opponent's hand, deal 7 damage to any target creature or player, and then for his ultimate, you can exile every non-land permanent on the battlefield. If your opponent can't deal with Nicol Bolas and you can get him into play in time, there is no way you can possibly lose. Now that we've gone over how this deck works, let's go over the mana base. For color fixing, we're playing 4 copies of Aether Hub, 4 copies of Dragonskull Summit, 4 Spirebluff Canal, and 4 Drowned Catacomb. Aether Hub is great because it can produce any color of mana that we need at any given time, plus it goes along with the energy sub-theme we have going on. Dragonskull Summit and Drowned Catacomb oftentimes come into play untapped as we oftentimes already have an island or a mountain in play. And to top things off, Spirebluff Canal is our fast lane for early game land drops. As far as basic lands go, we're playing 6 islands and 4 mountains. Now let's talk sideboard. Always keep in mind your 15 card sideboard should depend on what your local meta looks like, but this is what I got for you. For our control matchups, we have 2 copies of Spell Pierce, 3 Negates, and 2 Lost Legacies. Spell Pierce and Negate are great to help win any counter war you might encounter. Lost Legacy is my way of dealing with any kind of white enchantment-based removal spell like Ixalan's Binding. In testing, you have no idea how hard it was to win once an Ixalan's Binding came into play and targeted my Torrential Gearhulk. For aggro matchups, we're playing 2 copies of Sweltering Suns, 3 Whirler Virtuoso, and 3 Abrade. Sweltering Suns is great against any token strategy, plus it's a great early game board wipe. Since we're already playing a fantastic energy package, Whirler Virtuoso is great for creating any kind of chump blocker that we might need in the early game. Abrade is great for when you need a little bit more spot removal, plus also to help take care of God Pharaoh's Gift and also a Catcher's Monument. Yes, a Catcher's Monument is back on the rise. That's all for today. Let me know what you think about the deck in the comments section below. Are there some card choices you don't agree with? Or maybe you just can't wait to take this deck for a spin at your local Friday Night Magic? I would love to hear your feedback. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss anything from Mind Sculpting MTG. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next upkeep. Do 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 do. I really gotta move and get away from these trains, y'all. Yes, Catcher's Monument might pop up. You never know.